everybody. All right, initial disclaimer. We are in the car. We just went to Costco. We are running later than we expected today with running errands this morning. So I'm going to try to answer a few questions live right now while we drive. And then when I get home, I have to unload my groceries, put my son down for a nap, and I will jump back on and continue our live. So, hey Megan. So just if you're catching this is part one while we drive home from Costco, assuming no children completely freak out in the car. And then I will be continuing a little bit later. Okay, so we had 5 people post questions on my post yesterday. Once again, I'm trying to do this every Saturday, and on either Thursday or Friday, I'll post a little reminder and a spot to post questions. So we had a few questions posted, and I want to address those first. And then if anyone has questions that pops on here, please feel free to write them, and I will answer as many as I can. Okay, so one of the questions, hold on, I saved them because I knew I would not be able to remember all 5. 1 second. All right, so the first question says, I've been supplementing with an S&S at the breast, but I would like to be able to start introducing bottles for times when I'm away. What's the best way to transition to being able to offer bottles and still preserve the breastfeeding relationship? So this is a really common question, especially for mommies that maybe are going back to work or are getting to a place where they have little things they'd like to do away from their babies. Hi, Rebecca. So this is introducing bottles is something that is pretty different depending on what age your baby is. So we usually say do not try introducing a bottle at all in the first 6 weeks. We usually 4 to 6 or 8 weeks before you introduce anything else. Longer if you're having a challenging breastfeeding beginning, like if you had a really rough birth and maybe the baby was in the NICU for a little while, or you haven't had a great breastfeeding experience for the first few weeks, maybe you had a lip tie or a tongue tie and things were hard and you were cracked and you were bleeding, then we're going to say to actually wait longer to introduce a bottle than if everything's kind of going super well. So let's say you've waited that amount of time. Let's say it's 3 or 4 or 5 months and you're wanting to introduce a bottle. There are a few things that we suggest. One, the mom should not be the person to introduce the bottle. For babies, especially babies that have been breastfeeding and are very smart, they will not take a bottle from mom most of the time. They look at you like, are you crazy? I know it's fresh from the boobs. I don't want a bottle. So when mom's like, oh, I've been trying and it's so hard. It's like, of course it is. Your baby's smart. Your baby wants fresh milk from you. We need to let other caregivers be the ones to introduce the bottle. We also suggest the mom's usually gone when that happens. Babies can smell you if you're sitting in the other room. And a lot of times caregivers or husbands do actually a better job when they're on their own and they don't feel like you're sitting there in the other room and you're listening and how's it going? Is everything fine? So maybe taking a trip to the store, leaving an ounce of milk with your husband and letting him just try when you're not there is kind of the best way to start. So you want other people to start by introducing the bottle. The other thing that we really suggest is you look up paced bottle feeding. So when babies work at the breast, they don't get milk super fast. Bottles, however, can give milk really, really fast, especially if we're giving it to them down and the baby's like this and there's gravity. So paced bottle feeding actually has the bottle more perpendicular, parallel to the ground, like perpendicular to the baby's mouth. So they have to work for the milk and you kind of take it away and let them suck a few times and take it away. And you just slow the flow of the milk. That can be so helpful because then the bottle is more like a breast. A lot of times babies don't necessarily, at older ages, they don't get nipple confusion. They get preference of flow preference. So they prefer the fast flow of the bottle. So sometimes moms will say, oh, I introduced a bottle. Now my baby doesn't want to be at the breast. It's because they like the fast flow. It's like driving through and getting in and out instead of going home and firing up the grill and making your own burger. Babies are smart. I want quick, easy food. So we want to make sure that the flow is not super fast and that they have to work for it just like they do with the breast, which will help them continue to get their meal slowly. It will help them to feel when they're full. It will help them to not overfeed. That's another thing that happens a lot when we're introducing bottles is we tend to overfeed our babies and they tend to take more ounces than maybe a mom's pumping. So mom's away at work, she's pumping, the care provider is giving more ounces than she's pumping. I can't keep up. Well, if the care provider can pace bottle feed, often they're not going to stuff the baby with quite as many ounces because the baby will slow down and feel full faster. So that would be another quick suggestion with introducing the bottles is pace bottle feed. Make sure someone else is the one who's doing it. I would also really try to introduce when the baby's not super hungry. So when babies are really, really, really hungry and they want a meal, it's very hard to learn something new, and it is a new and different skill. So we want to make sure we're offering before baby is super hungry and before they're like frantic. I mean, think of yourself, like no one wants to learn something new when you're hungry. So offering them maybe an hour after they've last eaten, so you know they're not super hungry, but allowing them time to kind of get familiar with the bottle. The other thing I would just throw out there is if you're talking about an older baby, like 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, and you're wanting to then introduce a bottle, you might not even need to introduce a bottle. You might be able to go straight to a sippy cup or a straw, even cups. So sometimes people worry like, oh my gosh, my baby doesn't take a bottle. How will I ever be away from them? They can take milk lots of different ways. So if you're struggling and your baby's not wanting to take a bottle, you can still give them milk with a cup, with a little syringe. You can give them milk with a sippy, especially if they're older, a sippy cup or a straw. So with older babies, especially like over 6 months, I would say you don't even need to get them to take a bottle. If you're just worrying about getting them hydration, it can come in form of a cup or a sippy cup or straw. So those would be my quick suggestions for transitioning and preserving the breastfeeding relationship. I think we also just, like I said, want to make sure you're offering breastfeeding often still. If you're going back to work, let's say you're gone from your baby all day, a lot of times babies will increase their nighttime feedings to kind of make up. Oh, you see that one's asleep. Isla's out. Meanwhile, mine's talking. So making sure that you are still very available to your child, nursing before you leave for work, nursing when you pick them up, letting them nurse at night. If you're like co-sleeping and you're still nursing at night, I would absolutely just keep that in mind, that you want to allow them time to reconnect with you, allow them time to be at the breast. They are going to move more milk from the breast than the pump will, so it's important to still allow them time to move the milk and really help drain the breast. We know the breast is never actually empty, but really move all that milk so your brain goes, oh yeah, we still have a hungry baby here. Let me keep making a lot of milk. So if you have any other questions about that in particular, please comment them below. We are like 1 block from home, so I'm going to jump out, unload my groceries. For those of you who've just joined us, we were at Costco and we just have taken a little longer in running our errands this morning. So I'm going to put my son down for a nap, put my groceries away, and I will jump back on to finish answering the other questions and any questions that pop up. So I'll see you guys in probably realistically like 15-20 minutes. Sorry for the inconvenience, and I will see you guys soon.